necessary.
We are now recording. Thank you very much. And to see, I guess we don't have to open up anything. Members should be able to just join, right? We don't have to do any
Correct.
management of joining. Okay. All right, great. So let's get started then. We've welcomed our candidates. Let's see, I'm going to say okay to recording. We've welcomed our candidates. We've got our elections committee in place. Welcome to our candidates forum for the 2026 district-wide officers election of the Staff Guild 1521A. Welcome to our guild members viewing this event. Let's introduce your elections committee members. Election committee members, please say your name and mention your work site in the Los Angeles Community College District. Robin, please.
I'm Robin King, Los Angeles Trade Tech.
Thank you, Robin. Saray is not with us. She's taking care of a family member, so we wish her well with that. Grisel, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Grisel Garcia. I'm from the district office.
Thank you, Grisel. Natalie?
Hi, everybody. I am Elections Committee Co-Chair along with Mark, and I serve at City College.
Thank you, Natalie. My name is Mark Berquist. My workplace is Los Angeles Valley College, and I'm serving as Elections Co-Chair. We have a guest from the CFT observing. Martha Figueroa is here to observe the proceedings. I don't suppose Lacey was able to make it. I don't see her there. Okay. Natalie, over to you.
All right. So for today's forum, we invited the candidates. Woo! Sorry, emergency alert on my phone. That's exciting. We invited candidates for treasurer, grievance secretary, recording secretary, second vice president, first vice president, and president. Will present a series of questions to the candidates for each office. These questions were submitted by guild members and formatted by the committee. Each candidate will have the same time allotted for their answers. Mark will be serving as timekeeper. The timekeeper will raise a card that states time when the answer period is over. If needed, I will be muting candidates who attempt to stretch past their allotted time after a count of 10.
And thank you, Natalie. We want to remind everyone of the AFT Code of Conduct. The AFT is committed to providing a positive and respectful environment that is free of discrimination and harassment, regardless of an individual's race, ethnicity, religion, color, sex, age, national origin, sexual orientation, disability, gender identity or expression, ancestry, pregnancy, or any other characteristic prohibited by law. As such, the AFT will not tolerate discriminatory, harassing, or otherwise unacceptable activity of a violation of law. The AFT expects everyone in the workplace and those that participate in any of its activities, events, or meetings to abide by this code of conduct. Thank you. Now let's ask our candidates to introduce themselves. Candidates, please state your name, your campus affiliation or workplace affiliation, and the district-wide office you're seeking. We'll start with the treasurer candidates. Our candidates for the Guild's district-wide officer position of treasurer are Perry Jang. Perry, please introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Perry Jang, and I work at Southwest College. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry. John, please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Hooker. I work at Valley College running for treasurer.
Thank you, John. Our candidates for the Guild's district-wide officer position of recording secretary are Kim Jovel. Kim, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kim Hovell, and I work at Pierce College, and I'm running for the position of recording secretary.
Thank you, Kim. Alonda, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yolanda Austin. I work at the West LA site, and I'm running for recording secretary.
Thank you, Yolanda. Our candidates for the Guild's district-wide officer position of grievance secretary are Chad Bauer and Catrelia Walker. Chad, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chad Bauer. I'm running for grievance secretary, and I work at Los Angeles Valley College. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Catrelia, please introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Catrelia Walker. I work at ESC or the district office, and I'm running for your district-wide grievance secretary.
Thank you, Catrelia. Our candidates for the Guild district-wide officer position of second vice president is Sergio Becerra. Sergio, please introduce yourself.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Sergio Guillermo Becerra, and I'm running for second VP, and I work here at East Los Angeles College.
And it came to our attention that we have a write-in candidate. I believe Myra Cruz is campaigning as a write-in candidate because she, didn't go through the nomination process. She doesn't get the other benefits of a recognized candidate, so she's kind of on her own. But I want to acknowledge that she is running as a write-in candidate at this time. Our candidate for the Guild District Officer, Haywood. Joanne, please introduce yourself.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joanne Haywood, and I work at West LA College and running for the position of First Vice President of the Staff Guild.
Thank you, Joanne. Our candidates for the Guild's district-wide officer position of president are Andrea Edwards and Kimberly Davier. Andrea, could you please introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrea Edwards, and I'm working at West LA College, but working currently out of your AFT 1521 office, and I'm running for your guild presidency again. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Kimberly, could you please introduce yourself?
Okay, yes. Hi, I'm Kimberly DeVilliers, and I am working out of the ESC or the district office, and I am a candidate for president of the guild.
Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you to our candidates for introducing themselves. We're now going to turn for our first officer position of treasurer. Let's turn to Grisel to read the description of guild treasurer position. Grisel.
Hello, everyone. Again, from the Guild Constitution, the description of the office of treasurer. The treasurer shall deposit all dues monies and other income in the name of the staff guild, be one of the responsible financial officers of the staff guild, and is authorized to consign financial instruments and make regular and unusual disbursements of funds, maintain all financial records of the organization, assist an independent audit of the finances of the staff guild annually, and makes same available to the executive board and membership. Transmit per capita payments on a regular basis to the Secretary-Treasurer of the American Federation of Teachers and similar officers of all other bodies with which the staff guild is affiliated. Serve as a resource to the Financial Oversight Committee. Perform other duties as delegated by the President or assigned by the Executive Board. And perform duties of the office as required by the guidelines developed by the AFT.
Thank you, Grisel. Let's turn to Natalie for the questions for our treasurer officer positions.
All right, question one. Sorry. What alternative approaches and innovations will you bring to the position going forward? Perry.
So my approach is less traditional. So right now, for our guild, we are required by our state affiliate, CFT, to do what's called limited scope audit. If our members demand and also our executive board approves, I would like to actually go ahead with the full scope audit, which is required for any union organization that's a 2,500 members or larger. I think that's necessary for us to actually rebuild our trust among our members, because some members feel that we are not actually doing the right audit, and sometimes they don't think that where money is going. I think it's really important for us to actually have a full scope audit so that we can continue to rebuild our relationship with our members. And also, I believe as a treasurer, it is not about just handling money. It is about dealing with the issues that has a lot of issues with money. For example, right now, the state is dealing with the budget crisis. So right now, the state legislature they are discussing how they are delaying the $5.6 billion that money is supposed to go to the community colleges and the public schools right now. However, they are trying to delay their money. What's going to happen if they delay their money? The classified employees will hit hard with the layoffs. So as a treasurer who has experience with the legislative side, I want to make sure that we are advocating for ourselves to make sure that those funds are staying, make sure the state and the state legislature, they fund those, $5.6 billion so that, our jobs are secure and sound. And also, right now, I mean, 2 years ago, the district was talking about building like workforce housing. I'm asking the district, where is the money right now? The money is gone. So I want to make sure that we continue to actually advocate ourselves in the legislative side as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry. Same question, John. Would you like me to repeat?
Yes. Can you please repeat the question?
What alternative approaches and innovations will you bring to the position going forward?
Alternative or innovative? There's not much alternative innovative things we could do as treasurer. As interim treasurer, we have already started innovating some of our projects in the office. We have moved it to the online QuickBooks and getting, actually, one second. We're streamlining, connecting it to the banks and credit cards for easier transaction and transparency. We're making sure all purchases are documented with receipts, and we're trying to make sure we're keeping up with current technology where credit cards are locked without receipts. So we're a lot less frivolous spending. And, just trying to keep everything up to date with new technology that we can use, with our books and keep everything up to date. So there's not much we can do, but we are innovating with our systems in the actual office itself. And my idea is to keep this updated so we're always updated with current technology and how to improve our bookkeeping and records and getting the information out to members. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, question number 2. Do you have any conflict of interest that could hinder your ability to serve our members? John.
There is no conflict of interest for me in this position as coming up as treasurer that I'm aware of.
Okay. Thank you. Same question to you, Perry.
Thank you for your question. I do not have any conflict of interest, and I think that's another reason I'm running as an independent candidate so that I can make sure that I get to work well with all, elected officials for officers within our, 1521A. And I want to make sure that, we are all united. And that's why I'm running as an independent candidate to make sure that I don't have any conflict of interest and to make sure that everything is sound and clear and make sure that everything is transparent. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry. Question number 3. With your role as a union representative, how will you ensure the members at large are protected and supported in their assigned workplace? Starting with Perry.
I think it's all about advocating for our members. So I currently serve as a first delegate for Southwest chapter. And what I do is that whenever members are having issues, I make sure that I listen to their concerns and I'll do my best to actually address their concerns. As a larger picture, as the treasurer of our 1521A, it is all about addressing their concerns. Right now, we're dealing with inflation right now. So what's going to happen? So in July, there's AFT convention. What's going to happen? The AFT will most likely increase the per capita dues for our members. And same thing in March next year at the CFT convention in Sacramento, they'll also increase the per capita dues. I want to make sure that despite that they are increasing dues, per capita dues for our members, I want to make sure that we actually have sound and financial system. So I want to make sure that we don't increase any dues for our members because right now it is tough. And I want to make sure that our members feel that they are being supported by our union. And I want to make sure that our union dues don't increase at all. Thank you.
Okay, same question to John.
So can you repeat the questions? I didn't get all of it earlier.
With your role as a union representative, how will you ensure the members at large are protected and supported in their assigned workplace?
Okay, thank you for that. So My history of the union, I was a delegate, chapter chair, and handled grievances. So I'm an all-rounder. So I'm comfortable assisting members in any way, and I feel comfortable helping inform them about what is going on with the union itself, and also know which avenues to assist them better. If they have any questions, concerns, I know who to send them to. For the treasurer position to help support members, I want to make sure everything is transparent. We aren't frivolously spending. We know what's going there. We are able to cover members, as far as if we want to, pay for professional development stuff, resources, have membership activities, general membership meetings, what he's going to cover. So we are going to be covered with that. But as far as, just supporting, I know how to support. I know what needs to be done. I feel comfortable doing, anything that's asked of me. As far as attending budget committees, the district, in order to release that information out to members, share all the information at e-boards, and keep everything up to date. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And our final question, what would you do to increase transparency in the union's finances? John, you first.
So one thing to increase transparency is to release the finances regularly, as we have been doing, but also to increase the comprehension of the reports, because I know a lot of people can't read the reports that are submitted. So one of the ideas I would bring is to be able to actually explain it better, put footnotes if needed, but also maybe every e-board describe one section more clearly every single time, so people finally get an understanding of all the actual finances that we do. So like one meeting will explain the chapter expenses, one meeting will explain the conference expenses and stuff like that. That way, eventually everyone will be able to read the reports a lot more accurately, and without needing to ask more questions, because I understand, I know what that was expenses for. Oh, I see why we moved those money there. So that will also increase transparency, but also to give better reports to chapters themselves, so that the chapter chairs can explain to their members more, what we're spending versus, oh, I think they did it this way, but no, I know they did this way. So that would be my idea to increase transparency.
Thank you. Perry, over to you.
Thank you for your question. So my goal is to make sure that we actually do the full scope audit instead of the limited scope audit. My experience as I have a master's degree in accounting, so I understand the difficulty of dealing with the audit situations. So I want to make sure that we offer full scope audit so that members can rebuild the trust in our guild. And I want to make sure that right now we are using the same accounting firm for audit. That is not how it works in publicly traded companies. The publicly traded companies, they require them to rotate the auditing firms every 3 years. So I want to make sure that we rotate our auditing firms so that we know that there's no conflict of interest, make sure that the audit is complete and accurate, and to make sure there's no conflict of interest. And we need to make sure that we rotate the auditing firms. And right now, also, our books, our members have very limited access to our books. And I want to make sure that it has to be transparent, and our books need to be open every single day. So if members demand, our dues paying members, they should be able to come to our guild office and look at our books anytime, because I want to make sure that they feel confident in our guild, to make sure that they know that their dues are being spent well. And I want to make sure also to advocate for our members. Let's say if there's a college president telling us, saying that, oh, there's no money for classified, I'll make sure that I'll fight like hell to make sure that they don't say that word ever again. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry. Jumping back to you, Mark.
And thank you to our candidates. Thank you, Natalie. In this next section, the candidates for treasurer are provided 2 minutes to make concluding remarks and appeal for votes from our guild membership. John, we're going to go with you first. Please go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Okay, so as I introduced myself earlier, so my name is Jonathan Hooker. I go by John. I do work at Valley in the reprographics area. Currently, I am the interim treasurer for the staff guild. Since from January till now. I have done it before in 2019 as well, and what I have been doing is cleaning up the books, making some recommendations and changing. I have worked with our accountant to redo our books to make it more easier for us to understand, but also more streamlined so that anybody is able to read it easier. I have years of experience with the union. As I mentioned earlier, I was a chapter chair. I handled grievances. I was a delegate, alternate delegate. I've helped set up membership meetings. And so my primary goal here is just basically to, if I win the election as treasurer, to make sure our books are kept up to date, transparent, everything is set. We're not frivolously spending money on stuff we don't need, keeping everything up to date, making sure our taxes are filed on time, make sure audits are completed on time, and that we are set and ready to go for the next 3 years. Thank you, Mark and Natalie.
Thank you, John. Perry, just to make an appeal, make concluding remarks and appeal for votes from our guild membership. Perry, please go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Perry Jang, and I've been working at Southwest College, and I'm running for a treasurer. And I've been a first delegate at Southwest, and also I was the former committee chair. I was sitting on the financial oversight committee, and I think it's really important for us to rebuild trust from our members. And I want to make sure that we actually, if I'm being elected, I want to make sure that we offer full scope audit for our guild and make sure that everything is transparent and make sure that the books are open to dues paying members. And I want to also mention that our financial policies, I think we are having a lot of issues because it does not align with the financial policies of the CFT. So if I'm being elected, I want to make sure that our policies are aligned with the CFT financial policies so that there's no any discrepancy. The members can actually trust the policy because it's coming from our state affiliate, not from us. And I want to make sure that those policies are being implemented. And also, I want to make sure that we fight like hell to make sure that we protect our jobs. And we want to make sure that we continue to advocate for our guild and our classified positions. So in the past, I advocate for us to actually change our name to actually classified professional. Because right now, I'm not sure if you notice, like a lot of people say, oh, you are just a staff. I'm really tired of them actually talking about calling us staff. We want to make sure that we are classified professional because what we do is professional. And I want to make sure that we continue to rebuild our guild and to make sure that we continue to actually advocate for our members. And so my goal as a treasurer as well is to make sure that we continue to advocate for affordable housing. Right now, I mean, it's really difficult to say this, but we have members who are unhoused. And I want to make sure that we continue to advocate for the affordable housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Perry. Thank you also to Jonathan. Thank you to Perry and Jonathan, our candidates for treasurer. Now we're going to turn to the candidates for recording secretary. Let's turn to Griselle to read the description of the recording secretary position. Griselle.
Thank you, Mark. From the Guild Constitution, the description of the office of recording secretary. The recording secretary shall maintain the non-financial files and records of the staff guild, be the custodian of the seal and charter of the staff guild, shall record and keep accurate minutes of meetings of the membership and the executive board, shall chair the communications committee, assist the president in handling the correspondence of the staff guild, and perform other duties as delegated by the president or assigned by the executive board.
Thank you, Griselle. Our questions will be delivered in this section by Natalie. Natalie, please go ahead.
All right. Question 1. What alternative approaches and innovations will you bring to the position going forward? We're starting with Kim.
Hi, everyone. In terms of alternative and innovative approaches, right now I have been working closely with Melinda to start the communications newsletter up again. So that is a project we've been working on, and we have submitted a newsletter back in December, and we submitted one last week. So that would be something that I would want to continue working on and innovating to make sure that members are getting the information that they need, that they're aware of any current situations, cases that we have with the district, and that they're aware of any new important meetings coming up. It would also just be mainly making sure I'm taking accurate minutes, making sure I'm getting information out so that members who may not be showing up to the e-board meetings or may not be as informed or have access to communicate with their chapter chairs are getting the same information and the same knowledge that they deserve.
Okay, same question to Alonda.
For the question. So I do agree with I appreciate the newsletters that have been going out that I've recently seen, and I would like to continue in improving in those and adding information that's related to inform our members, not just of what's going on at the e-board meetings, but also what's been going on within our district. So making sure they're aware of any conferences or any trainings that could help with their professional development, any programs or incentives that are provided throughout our district, our AFT 1521A, that would improve their well-being needs. So I want to make sure that whatever software we currently have, I just be trained on that properly and improve on that. I don't believe in expending more dollars because we do have to be fiduciary with our budget. And so I do want to make sure that we can use things to not increase in productivity, but not in a way that causes an expense to our members. Thank you.
Okay, great. Question number 2. As the chair of the Communications Committee, what would you do to help ensure that members are accurately informed about union/contract changes in a timely manner? Starting with Alonda.
Thank you. I appreciate that question because there are times where I have not been aware of things related to the contract. So making sure that that goes out in a timely manner, using whatever our e-board allows us to use, the president's leadership in a way that goes out to our members with informing them in a timely manner of what's been updated, revised, any surveys, creating those, and constantly quarterly surveying the members to see what their needs are and seeing what things they would like to be informed about.
And to you, Kim.
So I agree with Alonda. The quarterly surveys will be important. In the newsletter that we did send out, we do have surveys there so that we are aware of what members want to hear and how often they want to get the newsletters. So the goal that we have is to send out those newsletters monthly going forward. We do have a little section. It's like a little contract corner section where we can try and break down what certain parts of our contract mean and how they affect the members so that they can try and learn about our contract and know how to protect themselves and how to reach out to us. So that's also part of the newsletter, the contact information for all the chapter chairs. And then the main thing, the other main thing would be making sure that the minutes for the e-board meetings are being sent out as soon as possible. That way chapter chairs are able to disseminate any information that we covered in those meetings. And that way we have that information for the next e-board meeting going forward.
Okay. Question 3. Will the notes for meetings be shared and made available in a timely manner? Starting with Kim.
That is the goal. If I am elected, I can't say exactly, but my goal would be that within a week of the e-board meeting that the minutes would be shared. And then, as I mentioned with the newsletter, that the goal would be monthly newsletters going out and posted, sent out to the emails and posted on the website. So that way members can view it. If they didn't receive it to their email, they'll still have it available on the website.
Okay, and to Alonda as well.
Yes, thank you. My goal is to, right after the meeting, review notes for clarity and completeness, and then draft the minutes using a consistent format. One that is currently used, that seems to be very efficient. verify any motions, names, any votes, and flag anything that needs clarification, and then submit that draft to leadership for accuracy check for distribution. And then once reviewed, I would send that out in a timely manner for our members to review, because it is important that they have that, so that if there are any discrepancies or things that they feel that were missed, it can be revised, amended, and returned in a timely manner before our e-board meeting and any chapter meetings, because that's where our members are informed, that's where our members can be empowered, and that's where they can advocate for themselves based on decisions that we make as a union.
Okay, thank you. Question number 4, our final question. If elected, what is your plan to make our e-board meetings run smoothly, especially when we need to vote? Starting with Alonda.
My plan is to meet with leadership in a timely manner before our e-board meeting so that we can plan and make sure we go over what the agenda would be, what action items I need to be responsible for, and make sure those minutes are out ahead of time and distributing anything so that our e-board members can review them and they can run in a timely manner, making sure my equipment is running efficiently. I have a backup equipment should something go wrong, and if all possible, attend with more percent, 100% in person, so that I can be there to support the leadership to make sure it goes well.
So I think for me as well, it would be a matter of making sure the agenda is laid out ahead of time. It's sent out and it's worded clearly with what the specific agenda items will be, whether we're voting on something, whether we're just going to be discussing a specific topic, and then making sure that we're establishing clear guidelines and enforcing those. So if we are going to be setting a time limit for discussion, that we are enforcing that from the beginning. Making sure that, like Alonda mentioned, making sure that we have the equipment set up. That way we don't have any delays in technology. But it is just really important that we get through those meetings. That way we get through all the agenda items, make sure we're able to vote, and make sure that we get all that information out to our members.
Thank you so much.
And thank you to our candidates for recording secretary. Our candidates for recording secretary being Kim and Londa. Thank you both. We're going to move now to the Guild Office of Grievance Secretary.
Mark.
I'm
Mark,
sorry.
Closing statement.
Go ahead. Oh, thank you. I'm leaping ahead. Please excuse me. We have 2 minutes for closing statements for our candidates for recording secretary. This is your chance to make an appeal for votes from your fellow guild members. We're going to start with Kim. Kim,
Hi, thank you, Mark. So as I mentioned, while answering the questions, the goal would be to have clear communication with our members, making sure that they're well informed, that they know the decisions that we're making on their behalf, that they know their contract, they know how to protect themselves, and that we're communicating any big wins that we're having or any issues that we're facing with the district. That way they know that we are working for them and we are protecting them like they deserve. And I would really like the opportunity to continue with the newsletter, to continue communicating with the members, and I would really appreciate the opportunity to serve as the recording secretary.
Thank you, Kim. Alonda, you have 2 minutes to make your appeal to your fellow guild members for votes. Please go ahead.
Thank you to the candidates, the election committee, and everyone that's joining us today. My name is Yolanda Austin, and I'm running for the AFT 1521 district-wide recording secretary, because strong unions don't just happen. They're built on clear communication, transparency, and trust. And this role is more than just taking notes. It's about making sure our union works and accurately documented, that's accessible and meaningful. If elected, I will ensure our meeting minutes are clear, they're complete, and easy to understand. I will not just be capturing conversations, but I'll be capturing decisions that help us move forward. I'm committed to making information timely, organized, and accessible so every member can stay informed and engaged. I will strengthen how we manage and share our records, improve consistency, and make it easier for all of us to find the information we need and where we need it. I will uphold transparency and accountability while respecting confidentiality where it matters, because our members deserve both honesty and integrity in how our union operates. Most importantly, I'll support the strength and continue the union that have been existing today and ensure that the work is clearly documented for the leadership of tomorrow. I'm ready to serve both with focus, precision, and dedication, and I respectfully ask for your vote.
Thank you, Alonda. Thanks to Alonda Austin and Kim Jovel, our candidates for recording secretary. Thank you both. We're going to turn now at this time to the district-wide office of grievance secretary. Let's turn to Robin to read the description of grievance secretary officer position.
From the Guild Constitution, the description of the office of grievance secretary. The grievance secretary shall work with parties involved in a dispute to try to resolve it at the lowest level possible. Represent Unit 1 clerical technical employees upon request, irrespective of union membership, and grievance against the district if the Staff Guild collective bargaining agreement has been violated. Advise the grievance review committee on decisions such as whether to pursue grievances to arbitration. Act as a grievance training mentor for local representatives and chapter chairs. Be responsible for conducting grievance trainings on site and at the executive board meetings. Act as a chief consultant on all grievance matters in the local. Maintain records of complaints and grievances and their disposition for at least 3 years from the grievance resolution unless a longer period of time is adopted by the executive board, and enforce the contract and educate staff on their rights, including conducting trainings on each campus at least annually.
Thank you, Robin. We're going to turn to Natalie for delivery of the questions for grievance secretary. Thank you.
Great. Question 1. What can you do as grievance secretary to ensure accountability and documentation to prove to the membership that you are meeting with members and following through on grievance matters? What kind of documentation improvements can you recommend to ensure accountability? Starting with Chad. Chad, you're muted. Chad, you're still muted.
All right, how about now?
Yeah, there you are.
All right, thank you. For me, accountability starts with documentation and transparency. As grievance secretary, I'd make sure every case is tracked from start to finish, intake, timelines, actions taken, all the way to the outcomes, be it step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, whatever I'm a part of. That's already part of the role in our Constitution, but we need to actually standardize it and make it visible. I'd implement a centralized grievance tracking system. We currently have one, but it is vaguely used. Regular reports to the executive board and membership, clear follow-up timelines so members aren't left wondering. Documentation isn't just paperwork, it's how we win grievances and hold the district accountable. And I'll say this role isn't just about advising or meeting with people, it's about closing the loop and delivering results. My commitment is simple. If a member brings an issue forward, it will be tracked, it will be followed up, and it will not disappear. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Now going to Katrelia.
Would you repeat the question for me?
Of course, it is a lengthy one. What can you do as grievance secretary to ensure accountability and documentation to prove to the membership that you are meeting with members and following through on grievance matters? What kind of documentation improvements can you recommend to ensure accountability?
Okay. Taking a little note here. Well, first and foremost, I, as a chapter chair, I am able right now I have access to the grievance manager software, and I've already begun on the cases that I have grievances and different cases already included information, tracking information on step from the good faith meetings all the way to the end in cases of step 3, or maybe even going into arbitration, and most definitely information regarding PERB matters. And so that's the first and foremost thing that I think is important that we develop better. But as far as making it improving, I think that will do the improvement right there. A one shop or stop place that we can actually be able to track and see what's going on across the district, not just within one particular chapter. Now, transparency to the rest of the membership is a touchy situation as far as what I can see. I think we need to have some guidelines as to what information is shared with the general membership regarding a particular grievance, especially if it's from an individual. However, I do agree that accountability and transparency are important, and being able to communicate the wins, which we don't hear enough of, and that are happening even now. I think that is very important. And I like what Kim, as well as Alonda, had indicated as far as communicating that from their if they win the position of recording, and just working closely to make sure our members know we are winning those grievances and those PERB issues and all of those matters concerning our membership and our contract.
Thank you, Jordalia. Question number 2, how can the progress of grievances be made more transparent to members involved in the process? And starting with Cadrelia.
How can the, I'm sorry, repeat the question.
The process of grievances, how can that be made more transparent to the members involved in the process?
Well, first and foremost, I think what is not being done on a regular basis is the incident reports that and the power of representation forms are not being collected as they should be. Because it's at that point, once you meet with that member and they have an issue and we set up that good faith meeting, we have to strategize. We have to explain to them what they can expect or should expect in that first meeting. And then explain the process that if we aren't able at the lowest level to resolve the issue in that good faith meeting, then move to the actual first step of the grievance and then explain that to them so that they are aware. I have found that that is very effective for a lot of the members that I have worked with to keep them calm and not be anxious as to the actual meetings.
Okay, same question to Chad.
Thank you. So transparency starts with communication and consistency. As grievance secretary, I'd make sure every member with the grievance gets regular updates, not just with something when something happens, but throughout the entire process. That means clear timelines at the start, what to expect, check-ins at every step, making sure every member knows what stage their case is in. Our role is to guide and represent, but also to keep members informed so they're not left in the dark. I also want to create a simple system where members can see progress and know what to expect without chasing answers from grievance secretary, campus chairs, grievance reps on the campus. Because at the end of the day, transparency builds trust. If you file a grievance, you should have no wonder whatsoever what's happening. You should know exactly where and what your grievance is at. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Question number 3, please tell us about your experience in educating members about the grievance process. Chad. Chad, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry, I'm recovering from oral surgery, so
Gotcha.
Constantly drinking. Education is a big part of this role, and it's actually written in our Constitution that the grievance secretary trains reps and educates members. My approach is simple: make the contract real, make it usable. I've worked directly with members, explaining their rights, walking them through the steps. I've helped them understand what is and isn't a grievance. But I don't stop there. I believe in being proactive. doing worksite trainings, breaking things down in plain language. For example, the 3 sides of a coin. Heads, what's your issue? Tails, how management's going to break down your issue. And then the outer rim is how it's going to look in arbitration. And we're going to make your grievance so strong that there is no disputing it. So pretty much making sure people know their rights before there's a problem. Knowledge is power, but only if people understand how to use it. And I'll say this, education isn't just about giving information. It's about making sure members feel confident enough to stand up and use the contract that our brothers and sisters before us have fought tooth and nail. I myself was on the last negotiation committee, helped form portions of the contract that help those in the valley. You know, when it's 120 degrees out and we have to work in the heat. Well, in our last CBA, we got something to fight for that says we do not have to work in the heat. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Katrelia, same question.
Could you repeat the question?
Of course. Please tell us about your experience in educating members about the grievance process.
Okay, yes. So the very first thing here at the ESC I did as chapter chair was I worked with CFT to actually provide for our first membership meeting a full training on knowing your rights, making sure employees, members of our labor union understood that how important duty of fair representation is. And that they're right to that. And the second thing was that I developed a training around ADA accommodation process. And not from the district side of the house, having 22 years here at the district in HR, but from the labor side of the house and helping them to understand what their rights were when they go into these interactive meetings. In fact, what is it? And how it applies even from being interactive in a grievance process. The other thing that I'm very, very passionate about is training our grievance reps throughout our district and our chapter chairs on what they should expect from the managerial side. Having been on that side and training those managers and supervisors on how not to violate the contract of all 6 labor unions of the Los Angeles Community College District. I want to now, as an AFT 1521A member, provide that same information, that deep institutional knowledge to them, each and every one of them. And also continue trainings for the general membership. Everyone should know they have a right. They have very well fought for rights, and they also should know that we are knowledgeable as well. Standing with them. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrelia. Okay, final question for this section. What would you say to a member who did not want to file a grievance, but you felt that they should? Starting with Katrelia.
Wow, thank you for that question because I'm there right now. And my answer to that, we have a pervasive here at the district office culture of harassment and intimidation. It's not just 1 or 2, it's departments. And this culture is pervasive throughout the district. And so for this particular group here in the district that I am now moving forward to file the grievance on their behalf. In my last membership meeting, I spoke to them and I said, if you're fearful of retaliation, which is a possibility when you file a grievance, especially when things are egregious, and managers are intimidating, please give me the documentation. I will file the grievance. I will represent the entire department as necessary, and I will fight and stand for our rights to be treated professionally, especially in those cases of harassment and bullying that are going on currently here at the ESC. Thank you.
Right, same question to Chad.
Thank you. First, I'd respect the member. I mean, that's their decision. My job is to advise and protect, not force. But I'd clearly explain what the contract says, what rights may be violated, and what could happen if we don't act, not as an individual basis, but as a unit. Because sometimes it's bigger than just one person. It can impact other members too. I'd also explain that the grievance isn't just a complaint. It's how we enforce the contract and how to hold the district accountable. At the end of the day, the member decides, but my responsibility is to make sure they have all the information and understand the impact. As informed members, I'm sorry, as members that are informed makes a stronger decision. And that's what I stand for. Strong members, strong decisions, and enforcement of our contract. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Natalie. Now this is a section where our candidates for grievance secretary have 2 minutes to make an appeal to their fellow guild members for votes and make their concluding remarks. We're going to start with Chad. Please go ahead. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. I want to leave you with this. This election is about results. Every day, members are dealing with real issues, discipline, reassignments, unsafe conditions, and contract violations. And in those moments, they don't need promises. They need someone who will step in and see it through, fight for them. That's the work I've been doing, and that's the work I will continue to do as your grievance secretary. The role is simple: enforce the contract, protect the members, deliver outcomes. That's not optional. That's the job. But we have to also be honest. Our union is not as strong as it should be right now. We've seen breakdowns in trust, lack of transparency, and times where members felt unsupported and even retaliated against by the current president and administration. That cannot be the standard moving forward. That's why I'm proud to stand with Kimber Devier. Kimberly represents the kind of leadership we need: accountability, transparency, and focused on members, not personal agendas. Together, her and I are committed to rebuild trust, strengthening representation, and making sure this union works for every single member, not individual agendas. Because at the end of the day, a contract means nothing without enforcement, and I will enforce it. I ask for your vote, and thank you. Chad Bauer.
Thank you, Chad. And let's turn to Contralia. Contralia, you have 2 minutes to make your appeal to your fellow guild members for votes. Please make your 2 minutes.
Thank you. I am honored to be here before you as a candidate for district-wide grievance secretary. Working in HR for over 30 years, public as well as private industry. My career has been rooted in one purpose: protecting employee rights and ensuring that fairness is not optional, but required. I know most of you know me as your EAP Total Wellness Program Specialist, but at LACCD, I've spent more than 2 decades learning the systems, the laws, and yes, even the gaps. As the Training and Development Program Administrator from 2013 to 2020, I've trained the managers on what they should do and what they should not do. The district provided me with the training from their legal firms about FRISC leadership, rules that managers and supervisors are to follow on progressive discipline, labor relations laws, and even required me to learn the contracts of all 6 labor unions and stay knowledgeable about federal, state employment laws, such as ADA, FMLA, and workers' comp. Now, since becoming the ESC chapter chair, I've used that institutional knowledge to stand with members at the district office and across our district. I've walked alongside members through grievances, AWOL notices, and even ADA accommodation denials, FMLA, workers' compensation, and PERB matters. And I've seen the difference it makes when someone knowledgeable truly stands in your corner, and that's why I am here. If elected as your grievance secretary, I will not only bring you experience, but heart, courage, passion, and commitment. I will fight for fairness. I will hold the line on our contract. And I will work to ensure that every member knows you are not alone. Your union stands with you. Now, this is about more than a role, right? This is about building a culture of respect, strength, solidarity that reaches every corner of our district. Together we rise, together we lead, together we win. And I humbly ask for your trust and your vote. Thank you.
Thank you to our candidates for recording secretary, for grievance secretary, to Chad Bauer and to Centralia Walker. Thank you both. We're now going to turn to the next section for district-wide officer. I believe we're now going to get to second vice president. Let's turn to Robin to read the description of the officer position. Thank you.
From the Guild Constitution, the description of the office of second vice president. The second vice president shall assume the duties of the president in the event of absence, illness, or death of the president, and assume the first vice president declines the line of succession. Assume the duties and roles of the first vice president in the event of absence, illness, or death of the first vice president. Serve as the staff guild representative on the board of trustee committees. Oversee the work of and receive regular reports from the COPE and professional development committees. Perform other duties as delegated by the president or assigned by the executive board.
Thank you, Robin. Let's turn to Natalie for the questions for the next section for second vice president candidates.
Okay, question number 1. What alternative approaches and innovations will you bring to the position going forward, Sergio?
Yeah, of course. So something that I feel like we're currently lacking because we're prepping and negotiations, all these elections is we really lost the focus of recruiting new members. I'm hoping after we're done with the negotiation cycle, I really want to focus on orientation. By law, new members get 1 hour release time. It's California law that we haven't yet implemented. I want to do like a Kahoot. Me and Andrea have been talking about where different members, you do an orientation, you get a certificate, things of that nature. We're gonna have sections on different parts of the CPA, so members could get be able to get certifications. Something else that I really want to focus is on our non-paying dues members. I think the last couple of years, lots of misinformation has been going out, and as an officer, I want to correct that misinformation, show that the state, that the federal, nationwide, our union parents have faith in the current leadership, show members that we're here for you, show members that we're advocating for you. Something else that I really want to do as second VP that we haven't done for years is the Professional Development Committee. I want to reestablish that, and then also make sure that when it comes to COPE, that when we're doing when we're endorsing certain campaign candidates for certain positions, that we're more engaged, that we have our membership more engaged, and then we're making sure that our COPE payments increase.
Thank you. Question number 2, what political experience do you have to organize on behalf of our members?
Yeah, so when it comes to political organizing, I've done phone banking. I've also was part of March and March the last 2 years. The first year, I was given a notice of 24 hours to attend, so I did that. Currently, I am a city and voting delegate for the LA Labor Feds. So I'm attending the monthly meetings, talking to the different unions throughout LA County. When it comes to organizing, I really am focused on the future. I know our CPL has a section for organizing committee, which we haven't yet implemented. For next negotiation cycle, I really want to start organizing a year prior so our members can be more engaged, so the process could be more informative, members could have their voices. I want to organize members for them to be able to have like negotiations cafes. I want to have competition where we get like a small section of our CBA, and where we have we have the members work on that specific language to see who comes up with a stronger verbiage in our CBA. Again, I've been sitting in our tables when it comes to our CFT endorsement for certain local races, making sure to have a relationship with Board of the Trustees members, and just making sure the members are aware of different endorsement and doing research on the candidates that we endorse.
Great, thank you. Third question, with your role as a union representative, how will you ensure the members at large are protected and supported in their assigned workplace?
Yeah, so something that I currently do is I make sure first members know their rights, make sure members know their job specs, right? From there, I make sure that I meet with members and go over their job specs and then set up those good faith meetings with the supervisors. I've done it at Southwest, I've done it at Mission, I've done it at different campuses where members are being told to do things that they shouldn't be doing. And I think one of the most important thing is sitting down and listening to members, because these members are the experts in their field. So sometimes, my role as when it comes to LACCD is I work in A&R, so I understand A&R functions. However, when I'm talking to someone from financial aid, someone from distant education, someone from IT, someone from the business office, sometimes I don't know the whole grasp of their work and what it entails. So sometimes it's also research based. You do a prep meeting where you sit down with a member, you go over procedures, you do research with state regulations, you do ed codes, you do the CPA, any LACCD policies. When you look at the CCCCO regulations, and when you do all that data and all that research after you meet with the first meeting with a member, you go into a second meeting, you do a follow-up. This is all your job descriptions. This is what it's outlined state regulations. This is the federal regulations. This is the local regulations. Now let's do the good faith meeting and make sure when I'm having those good faith meetings with the supervisors, I have that documentation there so I can present it to the supervisors and say, per this ed code, per CCCCO, EOPNS guidelines, the student service assistant should not be doing this, and things of that nature.
Great. Final question for this section. The second VP serves as the Staff Guild's rep on several district-wide and Staff Guild standing committees. Please speak about your experience working with committees and or the contributions you would like to make to these committees if elected.
Yeah, so I've been the chair of the COPE committee. We've met monthly. We were meeting monthly, but due to negotiations, I wasn't able. We haven't the last 2 months, so we need to figure out the best time to meet with that. I've sit in our PC consultations, our district consultation, and our chancellor consultations. I'm currently got recently assigned to the TPPC, which is the Technology Policy Committee, and I'm the voting member. So something that I'm currently doing is when there's new software or programs per our CBA, we need to give our input since we're the experts, and currently that was not happening, so I made sure to be able to sit in that committee. So currently there's new software, AI software, that's going to impact evaluators, so I'm sure to reach out to the evaluators to get their input, to let them know what's going on, and to report back to the committee, let them know this is what the members are saying about the software. Yes, we should move forward. No, we should move forward. Make sure to partner up with the faculty, with the academic senate, make sure that, hey, they're also supplanting your work when it comes to that. Oh, and I'm currently the co-chief negotiator for this negotiation cycle. So just doing lots of prepping, making sure that the committee has stay on task, make sure that we work on the language, and just being research and letting members know they're informed, to be informed.
Thank you, Sergio.
Thank you, Sergio. Thank you, Natalie. This is a section where our candidate has 2 minutes to make their appeal to their fellow guild members in their own words. Sergio, You have 2 minutes to make your appeal for votes. Please go ahead.
Yeah, of course. Thank you everyone for, having me, and again, thank you for giving me this opportunity. I'm excited for the next 3 years. I think I have a lot of ideas. I also want to thank Andrea for giving me the space and time, for educating me, for training me, and for letting me be able to represent members. I'm also thankful for the other officers, Joanne, Melinda, and John, Philip, when Troy was there. I think we've been a great team, and I'm just excited for the next 3 years. I'm here for the members. Whenever a member needs me, I'm there. For me, the priority is the membership. I'm tired of the misinformation, the lies. I'm tired of the internal fighting. I think the e-board and some certain people lose track on what is important. And at the end of the day, it's the membership. We've lost members due to misinformation, and I'm tired of it. We need to be fighting for our members. We need to make sure that our members are being represented, our members are not being harassed. And sometimes I feel like certain individuals do not care about the membership, and to me that breaks my heart, because for me that is my priority. That's my number one thing, is the membership, making sure the members are respected, making sure the members are honored, and making sure that the members are informed of correct things and not misinformation being spread.
Thank you, Sergio. We've just heard from Sergio, candidate for district-wide office position of second vice president. And now we're going to turn to the district-wide office position of first vice president. Let's turn to Robin to read the description of the officer position from the Constitution.
From the Guild Constitution, the description of the office of first vice president. The first vice president shall assume the duties of the president in the event of absence, illness, or death of the president. Oversee and assist the executive board in their duties. Oversee the work of and receive regular reports from the various standing committees of the local, and perform other duties as delegated by the president or assigned by the executive board.
Thank you, Robin. Let's turn to Natalie for the questions for the candidates.
All right, starting with question 1. What alternative approaches and innovations will you bring to the position going forward? Joanne.
Thank you. Alternative and innovative. That seems to be the buzzwords tonight. I think actually, having been around the union for quite some time, I've seen the changes or things evolve over the years. I like the fact, and I know many of our other candidates have mentioned this. First of all, we need to make sure our technology is up to par. Especially in a time like now, getting things out to our members in a quick manner. The turnaround should not take 5 days, if you will. If a member needs help or if we need to recall some information to produce it to our member, we should be able to push a button and have it to them like that. Those are the things I think, and we've started to do that. And I think those are the things that I would like to see us improve on, not losing the other things that we currently have in place, because there's a place for those things as well. Because sometimes in an effort to be innovative and all of that, we lose the very foundation of who we are and the way that we do things. So whatever we do, the things that I would like to see us just look at what we have, how can we improve them? I know we've bought some software, and we're starting to get a hang of those things. We're still in the learning process, but I would like to see us continue to build on those things.
Thank you. Question number 2. How will you plan on building leadership structure in our union?
Leadership, being an example, walk the walk, right? As you say something to someone, or as you set up an example for others, you be that. Because a lot of things, I've heard a phrase that things are better caught than taught. And I think when members are looking at you and you're saying one thing out of your mouth, but what you're doing is confusing. We have to be sure that the things that we say, that we model those things to our members. And I've learned this when I was a chapter chair, and I think I've said this before, I can just send my request to the guild office, and the officers will take care of it, But once you take on that responsibility of that leadership, it's a heavy weight, right? They say heavy is the head that wears the crown. And the expectation is really different. I mean, it weighs on you when a member asks you something and you can't really get back to them, or you don't have the information readily available for them. It weighs on you because you one member is calling, you get distracted. Oh, wait a minute, this other member need me to do so. So sometimes you up late at night trying to figure out, while the house is quiet, here you are sitting at the table, pecking away at the computer or doing research, right? Trying to make sure that what we say to our member is honest and true, because there's nothing like feeling when a member look to you, you've already said this is what you're going to do for them. And then they look and you fail them. You don't give them exactly what you say. We want to make sure that the things that we promise, we're able to deliver. And if we're not able to do that, be humble enough to say, you know what, I mess up and I couldn't get back to you right away, but I promise I would do so at another time. And to me, modeling the things that you would like to see is better than speaking it. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Joanne. Question number 3, if you win your office, you will be sitting on the current round of negotiations. What 1 to 2 priorities would you fight for to be added or removed from our contract?
Well, the structure of our guild is that as officers, we don't necessarily vote, but we give input, right? So we make sure, as sitting there at the table, you don't just allow things to just happen. You may not have an actual vote, but you can influence, right? It's like the wife and the husband. You may not be the person at the head, but the neck turns. You feel that way when it comes to being on the negotiation team. You give your input. And I have to say, our committee, they listen. We do have younger people, first timers on the committee. We make sure that we share the information that we do have from past years, how we got to where we are today. We are also open to getting information from our CFT affiliates and our AFT affiliates. We are very much wanted to bring the best. And it's the same for every negotiations, right? Every time we go to the table, we want to make sure we improve on something. We try our level best not to give up anything, and make sure we're getting something additional to give to our members, because they're so deserving. Right? They're so deserving of those things. Those of us that have been around for a long time, we're on our way out, kind of, right? But we want to make sure that what we leave to the members, and we're trying to encourage more people to get involved, that it's strong, that it has been tested and tried, but it's resilient. And they know that we're leaving them with a legacy that's worth carrying on.
Thank you. This is our final question for the round. The vice president serve on several district-wide and staff guild standing committees. Please speak about your experience working with committees and or the contributions you would like to make to these committees if elected.
Okay, so the campus-wide, the union committee, it's a little more what would I say, interactive, right? You get to share directly with our leadership from our work side. The ones that I would like to see, and it's improving some, is the district-wide committee, meaning the LACCD committees. So a lot of them, we sit in, we listen to information, and of late, some of them will ask you, any of the people attending would like to give input. But most of the time, you sit there really just gathering information. So those are the things that I would like to see improve. And I appreciate the ones that are opening up those spaces for us to, give our insight, because we are the ones that work directly with our members. Yes, at the district office, you may know what the presidents or the vice presidents from the college say to you, but let us tell you what our members would like. And I would also like to see that our rank and file members participate on some of these committees, because the officers, those of you that have served on in these roles know the work that it takes to really do an efficient job, right? As an officer, to make sure you're responsible and accountable and mean what you say, and and do the things that you promise. So that's one of the things that I would like to see improve, is to be able to have more input into the LACCD committees.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Joanne. This is the section where a candidate has 2 minutes to make their appeal to their fellow guild members for votes. Joanne, please go ahead with your appeal. You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Good evening, AFT staff, good colleagues. Our CFT field rep, Martha Figueroa, and CCE president, Carl Williams, my fellow candidates, and our election committee. It is both an honor and a privilege to serve as your current first vice president, co-chair of the Constitution and Bylaws, previous chapter chair at West Los Angeles College, participant on both our 2020 through 23 and our current negotiations team. Thank you, committee, for making this platform available to us. Thank you, Mark. My name again is Joanne Haywood, and I'm running for the position of first vice president of the Staff Guild. Serving in various positions within our union has afforded me the opportunity to work with amazing professionals at our work site and throughout our district. This allowed me to advocate for our members, addressing concerns with confidence and proficiency. As first vice president, I'm committed to upholding our collective bargaining agreement on every level, remembering those who have given us the very best so we can have job security, fair wages, FMLA, health benefits, paid vacation, holiday pay, just to name a few. As first vice president, I promise to be collaborative, fostering good relationships that benefits our members with our district and our affiliates, AFT, CFT, AFL-CIO. I will always be honest and respectful as I serve you, understanding that our needs and concerns may be different, but we are equally deserving of the best. Because I believe an injury to one is an injury to all, I will work to protect my union family. I'm asking for your vote as first vice president of the Staff Guild. Thank you for your continued support, and remember to always consider the rights of others before your own feelings, and the feelings of others before your own rights. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanne. We've just heard from Joanne Haywood, candidate for first vice president. Now let's turn to our candidates for guild president, and we're going to hear first. We're going to turn to Natalie to read the description of the position of guild president. Natalie, please go ahead.
All right. So from our guild constitution, the president shall be the presiding officer at all meetings of the membership and the executive board. Be principal executive officer of the Staff Guild. Receive, report, and respond to correspondence of the Staff Guild. Supervise all employees of the Staff Guild. Be one of the responsible financial officers of the Staff Guild, and be authorized to co-sign financial instruments and disperse funds that are authorized by the budget, policy, or executive board vote. Represent the Staff Guild before the employer or executive and legislative officials. Represent the Staff Guild before the public, community organizations, and the news media. Be, by office, a representative to the convention for the American Federation of Teachers and meetings or conventions of its affiliate bodies. Make a written report to the Staff Guild's membership at every membership meeting. Be able to delegate the responsibilities of the office except where otherwise specified by the Constitution, and consult with the executive board on important matters affecting the Staff Guild, but the president shall not enter into any substantial long-term financial obligations, and in no case financial obligations longer than 1 year without the express approval of the executive board at a meeting. Between executive board meetings, approval may be made only by the unanimous consent of all members of the executive board who cast a vote over a 24-hour period. Such approval shall only be sought if written documents specifying the precise nature and extent of these financial obligations are provided with the approval request.
Thank you, Natalie. And before we continue, I noticed we have people who have not identified themselves. This is a guild meeting, a guild event for the 1521A Staff Guild. Will those persons who identify themselves as iPhone please list your name so that we can know? All the rest of us are being transparent about who we are. This is a union event. We request that you identify yourself by name. Please do so now. I'll give you a moment. We will resume once you've listed your name. If you don't list your name, we will be ejecting you from the room. Please list your name.
How can I, when you have disabled the chat? How can I identify myself?
So you don't have the ability to list your name there?
No, I don't.
Okay. Can you speak? Can you tell us who you are? Please identify yourself.
Mario Medina.
All right. And you are a guild member?
Yes, she is.
Thank you. Can we have the other person? We have another person who has listed themselves as iPhone.
Bernadette Sting.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your cooperation. For those of you who could make that adjustment. I see. Okay, so I think we're all caught up. Thank you very much for your cooperation.
Thank you both.
We will now turn to Natalie for the questions for our guild president. Thank you.
Okay. Question 1. What alternative approaches and innovations will you bring to the position going forward? Starting with Andrea.
Well, innovation is a complicated thing that needs to come and bring creative and new and refreshing ideas. I think for me, it was really honing in and honoring a 40-year legacy to hone in what was and to maintain a stability in our unit to restore our reputation. That did lead us to think about new technology and new time. And with that, you do have to be innovative. How can we train over 1,500 people? So looking at Kahoot, looking at it, build in little interactive Canvas shells in a fun, interactive, engaging way. We have been able to purchase that software, which will allow people to understand what is a grievance versus a gripe. What is duty of fair representation? What are my Weingarten rights? What is my collective bargaining agreement says? What is the Constitution and bylaws state? And allow people to take these courses in a fun, innovative way and get a certificate to say, hey, I'm mastering this, because it's hard. Being a union representative is voluntary work. And so when you're coming here to try to create innovative ways for people to engage their unit, you want to also make us approachable in doing so. And so for me, being innovative is how can we also win? How can I understand and teach our members what is a way that you can advocate for yourself, teaching what is ADA. I think being innovative is allowing yourself to be accessible. What I do see us doing and trending really would be to bring CFP in. We do pay our per capita to our state affiliates, which is called the California Federation of Teachers, to really come in and engage our members. It's free resources that is provided to us. And I think what is innovative is when chapter chairs and leaders allow CFT to come in and teach. I brought an innovative thing last year where the executive board officers went to a retreat in Palm Springs. We were able to break barriers and engage because unions that are falling apart internally don't have the stamina or the stability to actually really focus on what we're here to do, and that is to serve members. It was very innovative to find a holistic approach to actually engage in the material, figure out how to campus map, while also learning how to enjoy each other as brother and sisters in the guild. Thank you.
Okay, same question to Kimberly.
Thank you, Natalie. Can you please repeat the question?
Of course. What alternative approaches and innovations will you bring to the position going forward?
Thank you. I'll first address alternative approaches. I think the first thing that I would do as guild president would be to maximize our capacity to be a business unionism. And that's a new term that actually involves collaboration with management. More of collaborating with how we get things done. Because when we go to consultations, for instance, we go to consultations and we go, here's a list of our complaints. Here's a list of things we're not happy about. But we haven't had, in my experience, any solution-driven approaches to resolving the concerns that we have. So approaching the table with some fail-safe ideas that will help move us forward so that we're not sitting there wasting the time giving a laundry list of what we're not happy about. And also in terms of having innovation, the innovative part, well, sorry, let me go back to alternatives. Alternatives would be also in the business unionism model would be to give us a more business structured approach. I've sketched out quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 goals for first year if I'm elected as your president. The first quarter would be about stabilizing our union. There's a lot that needs to be done to stabilize some of the weaknesses that exist in our current union. The second quarter would be about strategizing what's next. And in strategizing, we're going to articulate what our vision is, what we expect to deliver to our members, and how we'll have an approach to report out what we actually have accomplished. Quarter 3 would be about energizing our unit. Once we've been stabilized, we strategize, now we're going to energize. We're going to do membership drives. We're going to move the membership forward. And then quarter 4 in our first year, our first 365 days would be about energizing the union to optimize our future. And so it's coming in with an actual business approach to advancing our union. And in that, that's where innovation will take place. It will take place with technology advances and also leveraging community efforts like labor notes, organizational training, CFT, and partnering with community agencies like UCLA Labor Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. All right, question 2. How do you plan on building leadership structure in our union to get us strike ready? Starting with Kimberly.
First, Jonathan, who's our current treasurer, mentioned the term I wrote down. He said frivolous spending. We would have to eliminate frivolous spending. And by eliminating frivolous spending, we would be able to put more money towards saving toward any potential strike efforts. Also organizing in such a way that we do have a strike plan in place, so that should we have to come to that, we will have learned from what we've seen recently with LAUSD and the SEIU strike, taking advantage of some of that information, leveraging some of those leaders to come in and help us plan or pre-plan for what the contingency would be if we had to go on strike, and being aware of what has worked successfully, like in Chicago, when they had their strike and it was successful for their teachers, and just leveraging other leadership and learning by just partnering with other people who've already done it, right? But in terms of money, it would be also we have to increase our membership. We need more dues. We need more active members that are going to come in, and we need to learn how to fundraise. Yes. We literally have to find other ways to bring more revenue into our guild so that we can maximize our potential to not just be a solid guild, but be an active participant and advocating for what we want as a guild. And if that takes a strike effort, like what we just saw with LA Unified, then that would be, what our next course of action would be. But it takes money. It takes money to fight. And it takes money to move us forward. And so, first of all, again, it would be also making a solid budget. We shouldn't be doing money transfers mid-year. We should already have planned appropriately for events such as conventions that are forthcoming. We already know a year in advance a convention is coming. Why are we looking for money at the last minute? That's what a budget is for. It's forecasting what your anticipated expenses are and properly allocating those at the beginning of fiscal. So if we're able to do that, we can probably find a cost savings approach to address any potential strike should there need to be one. Thank you.
Okay, same question, Andrea.
Can you repeat the question for me, Natalie?
How will you plan on building leadership structure in our union and get us strike ready?
Well, leadership structure already exists in our Constitution and bylaws. So abiding by that would be how I would plan. You would educate your members because the membership dictates what we do. And so teaching people that our Constitution and bylaws already has a structure in it. It's about actually following what it is designed to do. Now, when it comes to preparing for a strike, if it's ever necessary, you want to create a contract action team or a bargaining action team. It does take a year plus in advance. It takes strategy. And you really strike when you are thinking about negotiations, which we run on an every 3-year cycle. We're looking at currently the 26-29. What in it are we willing to go to the mat? Because strikes mean no one gets paid. Strikes would have to mean that we all are under the agreement that no one's going to break that line. We're the largest community college in the nation. We are about 9 campuses, satellite campus, and it's ever growing. Money flows through here more than you would realize and know. We could shut down this district, classified alone. It's over 1,500 of us and growing. So in order to really prepare for striking, we're already primed to do so. I think it really is about telling people what that really means. With that, it does require financial structure. We have generated over, I think we're a year's worth of our dues, which is at $1.7 million now in our saving alone. Educating people, thank you for your membership dues. We generate $1.5 million a year. Now, majority of that goes to per capitas and our OPAU staff. People don't know the numbers of the facts, but what does that look like? For my leadership turn, I put our money in a high yield interest savings account at a 4.9% increase. We were gaining $6,000 every month on passive income because fundraising and other things like that may not be applicable as a 501c5. So you have to be knowledge of the law. What I do know is that CD accounts are applicable. So going to treasury training, being smart, making sure that we are primed if we have to go on strike. What did that look like for the sustainability of our unit as a whole? It's about being smart, educating members, and making sure people feel a part of the process because you need the votes. You guys have to let us know it's approved to strike. We cannot strike without the members giving us the go ahead. So that's what I'll do.
Okay. Question number 3. If you win your office, you will be sitting on the current round of negotiations. What 1 to 2 priorities would you fight for to be added or removed from our contract? Starting with Andrea.
Well, I'm blessed right now to have been voted by this current negotiation committee as your chief negotiator. And when you hear me at the Board of Trustees meeting, just like the recent one, I'm always speaking to what is and what is expected. No one is above reproach in this district. Regardless of your title, people who have come to believe that the higher I climb in this administrative role, I can abuse people and that doesn't come with any consequence. That's not what we're here for. So I would really look at Article 3, where we talk about harassment and abuse and retaliation and non-collegiality. We have an article, but the enforcement of it is hard, and we have been abused. And so when you talk to this chancellor in the consultation, he has also agreed. The district currently has no metrics to really protect people outside of ODI, and that is only if they're violating you based on a protected class. But what about the people who don't have a protected class and they're being abused? So it really is about looking at what do we have, not only in the monetary sense, but what language speaks to what we see as a rising occurrence. That's why I've been able to file perp charges on the district for retaliation. For example, Article 5, it says you shall consult with us when you hire ISAs or any other positions that supplant classified work. California law says that faculty are a non-supervisory managerial unit, but yet and still the district and HR policies are allowing people to believe they can take over classified roles. That's why you're seeing arbitrations on faculty attempting to supervise. We have to buff in that language that lets them know we will perp you at every time at every cost. If you think you're going to violate this contract, we would just come with harder language. So having legal, because that's what they're for, to protect us and to strengthen us, give us more guided processes with negotiations and not arbitrarily doing it, will allow us to continue to not only fight for more money, because we do enjoy livable and enjoyable wages, but also the teeth that actually protects us when an abusive supervisor who is known to keep getting promoted thinks that she can promote a cultural environment that continues harassment. No, I don't care who you are. This district has a proclivity to hire abusive people who come from tethered passes from other districts, and we have to stop that. I think it's really about learning your CBA in order to know what you really want to go strike for, because it requires a lot. No money, no crossing the line, and membership has to agree to it. Thank you.
Kimberly, would you like me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
Okay. If you win your office, you will be sitting on the current round of negotiations. What 1 to 2 priorities would you fight for to be added or removed from our contract?
I am currently on the negotiations team as the grievance secretary currently. The two things that I would put forward would be transfer and assignments in Article 14. 61% of the members responded to that category in the survey, and they said they wanted that to be addressed. And it was not high on the priority list because of the 61%, but that's something that I would make sure that we would address so that we would have, hopefully, if we were able to lobby for it, a mechanism for which that as we're experiencing SRPs in our district, that people, when there is a elimination of an employee who decide to terminate for SRP and there's a vacancy. If there's a vacancy, we should have an opportunity to have other employees fill that vacancy because they have a lateral move. Like for instance, if you're an A&R and you're an A&R assistant and the evaluator leaves and retires, allow that person to work for a period of time in that position so that they would have upward mobility. So I would add something to the contract so that we can have upward mobility for our members. A lot of members that I've been talking to have expressed frustration with not being able to upgrade in different positions. Either because personnel commission doesn't have a ladder that allows them to move from one position to another. So I would add that to the contract. Also, I would strengthen the work environment, Article 8. I would add a option for individuals to have priority with moving for personal reasons. If you can transfer to another campus that might suit your needs better or has a different culture. Every campus doesn't have a same culture, so give them some elasticity so that they can move around. By and large, members have expressed that, Article 23 and Article 20, which 23 is wages and 20 are remote work. Collaborate to make sure that we have a mechanism in place in our contract that prevents layoffs. Layoffs should be the last resort, and to make sure that we have language that prioritize keeping members employed no matter what. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Final question for our section. What are your thoughts on an in-person district-wide membership recruitment event to promote the union as a whole and increase dues paying membership? Starting with Kimberly.
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What are your thoughts on an in-person district-wide membership recruitment event to promote the union as a whole and increase dues paying memberships?
I think that's an excellent opportunity for us to sell members on what the union has to offer and what the union has extended to members thus far, and to encourage new people to join into the membership and take advantage of everything that's available to us. I think that recruiting members in that way with a large capacity present at one time is the best way for other members to speak with potential members and for us to get the word out so that we can increase our yield and so that we're not having conversations about loss of membership, but about the growth of membership, because that's what's inspiring people. Right now, people are feeling like the union is not as responsive as they want us to be. And I think that if we had a large event to try to attract more members, it would show our commitment to our guild, and it'll show a commitment to where we're taking our guild in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrea, same question.
One more time,
Sure.
Natalie, I want to catch it. Thank you.
What are your thoughts on an in-person district-wide membership recruitment event to promote the union as a whole and increase dues paying memberships?
Well, I like to start off by saying union, that's all of us. Union, when you think of the union, we often think about concierge services where we drop it off and it belongs just to the elected leaders to change. You are the union. And I think when we reframe what we think about when we say that word, it's not just relegating all responsibilities to one person. You are your union. When you think about how do we move forward and how do we kind of get people to join? Unionism, if you remember by education, when the women's suffrage march, when it came to civil rights, it was people who were angry enough and bold enough to understand why we fight. We've lost that somewhere. We got a little bit comfortable and a little bit complacent. And we have to move out of this comfort to actually fight back. You're seeing people start to come back and fight back because when you get abused enough, either you do one or two things. You surrender or you stand up and say enough is enough. I've seen people stand up. I've seen new members join because we've helped them learn how to be empowered. How do you document your supervisor? How do you eventually walk it up from an Article 3 to an Article 22 grievance? How do you move that to a cease and desist letter? And how do you move that a perp because they've showed a pattern. How to use ODI. I've trained people on how to go to the Civil Rights Division and get a right to sue letter. The district isn't afraid until you hit their pockets. Members have to see the value. If it was a Netflix subscription, you just don't want 2 streaming channels. People have to understand the value and what this collective bargaining agreement is and where their power resides, and that's in their mobility. We have the opportunity to talk to new members. When they get employed, we should be using the mechanisms to say, hey, welcome. But when you look at the Constitution and bylaws, all of us, every officer, it tasked us with going out and actually recruiting people. That means walking to your office and walking to the desk and saying, hey, I see that you just joined. Currently, we send membership packets, we send welcome letters out, but I also want to educate people that we fought for something in Article 10 called our MOS certification. If you do that, and you take the MOS certification, which is the MOUS certification, it actually pays for your dues. So instead of looking at it as a deficit, look at it as that we won so much for members. To not actually pay your dues is a detriment to our collective bargaining as a whole. We're more powerful together. No worries.
Thank you. Sorry, I just turned my screen off.
Thank you to our candidates. Thank you to Natalie. We're now entering the section where our candidates have 2 minutes to make their final appeal for votes from their fellow guild members. We're going to start with, let's see, we got Kimberly first. Kimberly, you have 2 minutes to make your appeal for votes. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Clearly I was nervous because I haven't done well in this campus forum, in my opinion. But in any rate, I like to say the best question is, how do you measure the effectiveness of a union officer? And basically you gauge it by what we've said we were going to do, what I promised you as a grievance secretary, and whether or not I delivered thus far. And I promised to fairly represent members and to protect our interests, and I've done that. And the integrity of our contract, I protected the integrity of our contract at every turn. I've done that by positively resolving every matter that I was materially involved in, by being honest with members when consulted as the grievance secretary. And every grievance I initiated was successful during my term, by passionately advocating for members' employment rights during consultations and standing on business for our members when management is disingenuous, by supporting campus officers and member discipline action, and by providing sound, reliable guidance that leads to successful outcomes. As such, in the employees returning to work, when a particular employee was put on paid administrative leave, I was successful in helping the team on their campus achieve that goal. And I proactively supported and demanded clear processes for MOS certification and tuition reimbursement by emailing solutions-driven suggestions to our management. Our members are compensated, and making sure that our members are compensated timely for their benefits that we enjoy as Unit 1 members. I pushed behind the scenes for greater membership inclusion on union committees, reduction in wasteful spending, district management accountability, a plan to address lack of outward mobility for qualified members seeking promotion, and a proactive plan to treat union staff with the respect, protection, and work improvement opportunities the same as we expect from our employer, LACCD. And for every employee in our district to work in an environment that is healthy, productive, and advantageous for their growth in the future of our union and our pension. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. We're going to turn to Andrea and for your closing appeal for votes to your fellow guild members. Andrea, you have 2 minutes. Please go ahead.
Thank you. I am humbled and I'm grateful. This has been a hard journey, you guys, and I'm not going to lie. I'm a parent. I am a person. I'm a human, and it has been a lot. But you know what? I wouldn't have it any other way. I have seen the results of winning. I've seen the results of actually building relationships with stakeholders, such as our board of trustees, as the chancellor. I've watched us adjudicate 9 ADA cases by challenging the district-wide former ADA coordinator, Cassandra, who actually quit right after we pressed her on why since 2019 remember about their rights to ADA accommodations. I watch what holding the fire to the flame does. Now, wins aren't always quick. I've also watched when people say wasteful spending, and when I look at it, everything that we account for by hiring an accountant, by hiring a Calibri outside agency to come in and audit us, it's not waste. I will spend every penny on legal to make sure people are protected. I've watched myself win for members who were up for termination, up for suspension, and won reversals of those cases when people were having mental breakdowns because they thought it was over and the way they feed their household and themselves were gone. See, I don't pick cases that look winnable. I pick all cases because I have a duty to represent you good, bad, or indifferent. I've watched what it was like to have a member who was wrongfully let go after serving 25 years because she felt sick and felt ill. I watched her go to a county hospital bed, and I had a notary come to her bed and ensure that she got proper representation to get afforded the SRP, get $50,000 back in compensation, and actually be able to live with dignity, although she had lost her home. This is the things that we're watching. It's not easy work, you guys, but I have watched what hard work and tenacity does. I learned California law. I learned Ed Code. I make sure that everything that I do is to give you above and beyond what I can. And for those who've experienced it, know that I'm tireless and relentless. We have filed more PERB charges in the last 2 months that we have filed in years because I am not playing. I'll give people enough leeway to hang themselves. But when the district knew, they tried to buy me out, and I said, why would I ever be a pocket holder? I believe in integrity. I've given that, and I will continue to do that. I also serve as your CFT, Executive Board Counsel, and I wrote resolutions to dual enrollment that speaks to overstaffing, staffing, and mental burnout. Thank you for the opportunity. I will not ever stop, but the results are in the pudding. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. We've heard from our
Thank you.
candidates for Guild President, Kimberly Davier and Andrea Edwards. Thank you to all of our candidates this evening. I'd like to say just a couple closing remarks. I'd like to thank the candidates on behalf of the Elections Committee for their gracious decorum this evening. I'd like to thank our fellow Guild members who are attending live with us this evening for their attention and for your gracious cooperation so that we could be transparent as Guild members at this event. Thank you so much. You have my sincere appreciation on behalf of the
Thank
committee.
you.
We'd like to thank our candidates for the offices of Treasurer, Recording Secretary, Grievance Secretary, Second Vice President, First Vice President, and President. Just a reminder, election ballots will be emailed to the district email addresses of our fellow Guild members on Friday, May 1st. The window to cast your electronic ballots closes Wednesday, May 6th at 11:59 p.m. 2026. The Elections Committee encourages our fellow Guild members to cast. Thanks to our candidates, to our fellow Guild members for your time and attention, and to our Election Committee members for their dedicated service. On behalf of the 1528 Elections Committee, we wish you a lovely evening and thank you. This concludes our event.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.